The last couple of years, star players, breakout performers have all been freshmen. Who, aside from freshmen this year, are going to have big breakout seasons? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you on CBSSports.com. Let's get right to it. Bring in CBSSports.com's Gary Parrish, our college basketball columnist. Gary, we'll get to the freshmen in a little bit, but let's start with the defending national champions. They lose 80% of their scoring, 6 key guys from a title team. Who's left that can have a breakout year there for Bill Self?
Well, it's obviously Sherron Collins, and it's got to be. I think some of this is going to be completely out of necessity. There's not a whole lot left around that program right now in terms of, high major, try to win a Big 12 caliber talent. And so Sherron has always been a very, very talented guy, but, arguably their best guard, even though he was sort of the odd man out with Russell Robinson and Mario Chalmers. Now he has to be a dominant scorer in college, and I think he will be. You'll see his numbers jump up to 15, 16, 17, 18 points a game, and suddenly people will start to ask, well, how did Sherron Collins get so good? It's got nothing to do with that. He's always been capable. It's just a matter of now he has to score because he's not surrounded by Brandon Rush, Darrell Arthur, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that roster certainly depleted, but they do have a national title to hang when they open up Allen Fieldhouse. All right, Louisville was a national title contender last season. If they're going to be one this year, is there one player that you say this guy has to get better from last year?
Earl Clark, and he's immensely talented guy. NBA scouts love him, but he's sort of been inconsistent in college, bounced in and out of Rick Pitino's doghouse, and I think this is the year as a junior that he has to show, okay, I'm not just a guy who NBA scouts like. I'm a guy who puts up monster numbers in the Big East and can do it on a night-in basis. If he's able to do that, and I think he will be, I think you'll see his numbers jump up to where he might be a leading scorer type guy for Louisville. Assuming that's the case, then Louisville is going to be one of the handful of schools that can challenge North Carolina for a national title.
Gary, this is all based on a list that you have on CBSSports.com. You've been coming out with college basketball articles leading up to the beginning of the season, November 10th. One of the guys on there that you have is at Gonzaga. Why do you believe so much in Austin Daye?
Again, talent. You watch the kid. I saw him a lot this summer at the LeBron James Skills Academy up in Akron. And from a talent standpoint, a 6'10" guy can step away from the basket, shoot it. You look at him and you go, okay, I see why he's a projected lottery pick. But when you watched him play college basketball last season, for the most part, he was overwhelmed physically and just lost at times. I saw him in the Memphis game, and he could not stay on the court for a variety of reasons. Come to find out, he was sick a lot of last season. The change in the weather, moving from L.A. up to Washington, had bothered him a bit. But this is a season where I think as long as his knee is healthy after twisting a little bit at the LeBron camp, I think he'll be great and put up the type of numbers that an NBA lottery pick ought to be putting up.
You also have a couple of guys on your list, Gary, that are on teams that hope to make tournament runs like Gonzaga of years past. If Dayton and Tulsa are there this season, who are two guys that we're going to be talking about at the end of the year?
Well, at Dayton, there's a kid named Chris Wright who was very good last season as a freshman, sort of one of those players who they recruit a little bit above their head. In other words, he's the type of player that a program like Dayton isn't used to getting in terms of national rankings and that kind of stuff. He was great, and then he got hurt. But assuming he's healthy, and he is, he should, immediately go out and post big numbers. You're talking 15-point-a-game guy in the A-10. Jerome Jordan at Tulsa is another guy NBA scouts are in love with. Had a good season last year, but didn't really stand out until late in the year when people started paying attention. This year, people will pay attention from the beginning, and I think what they'll see is a 7-foot, big-bodied center who can score and rebound in the paint and perhaps dominate Conference USA and help Tulsa not compete with Memphis. I think that's silly, but maybe help Tulsa get in position to, perhaps get Conference USA a second bid in the NCAA tournament.
All right, real quickly, let's get into the freshmen. You mentioned Memphis, Tyreke Evans, one of the major guys that, in terms of freshmen, coming to college basketball this year. Who else is on your top 5 freshmen to watch?
I started with DeMar DeRozan. He's a 6'7", 6'6" athlete who, at Southern Cal, he doesn't play like O.J. Mayo, but his impact should be similar. Drew Holiday at UCLA, just across town from DeRozan, a 6'4" combo guard who does a little bit of everything. He'll score, he'll rebound, he'll pass the ball. Then at Ohio State, the third straight big-time center, B.J. Mullins, is on campus. Not as dominant as Greg Oden, but he's pretty good, a one-and-done player. And then at Louisville, Samardo Samuels, the other day in the inter-squad scrimmage, had 30 something points, and I think 17 rebounds, 36 points, 16 rebounds, something like that in a scrimmage this past weekend. So he's a guy who, again, can dominate in the middle. Doesn't have the experience that David Padgett provided, but in terms of just a strict talent standpoint, it's an upgrade at the center position for Louisville, and it's one of the reasons they'll be competing for a Big East title. So this freshman class isn't as good as the ones we've enjoyed the past 2 years, but at the top, there's some serious prospects.
Yeah, five of the top 10 NBA draft picks in each of the last 2 years have been freshmen. Gary Parrish, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
And for a full list of all of Gary's breakout players and best freshmen coming into college basketball this year, be sure to read his articles on CBSSports.com. For Gary Parrish, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.